Welcome to Books and Things with Tom. And tonight's guest is going to tell you all about publishing and a new project he's working on. And everybody's got an idea for a book. It's just a matter of writing it down or getting a hold of somebody to help you get it down. And my guest is Richard LaPorta. Richard, glad to meet you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for letting me come today.
Richard is the owner of
Husky Trail
Husky
Press.
Trail Press. Jesus, man.
We've only known each other about 15 years
I
now.
know, listen, yeah. Husky Trail Press, and he's also a publisher of my two books. And now you got a new project going.
Yes, this year. Well, first let me take a step back.
Okay.
If I looked at a lot of the books that I have written for different authors, there was a human interest story about them. Because I think everybody has a story to tell.
Yes.
It could be their story. It could be a family member's story, oftentimes a family member who's no longer with them, who is deceased.
Yeah.
It could even be a friend, or it could be something or somebody that they're really interested in. And it started, Tom, because there was this man. He was born in 1896. And at 18 years old, he went into World War I as just a regular private. He was in the Marines. He was shot, wounded, and at that time the war was over for him. But actually, at that time the war was winding down. But World War I, the trench war,
wow.
Just plain nasty. He came back. He recovered from his wounds. He then became a New York City policeman. Wow. He was a patrolman for his whole career, almost 40 years. He was in Manhattan. He had the Manhattan beat. And I would have really enjoyed to talk to him and find out what it was like to be in World War I.
Yeah.
What it was like to be a New York policeman in the 20s, in the 30s, and in the 40s.
Yeah.
To continue the story a little bit, he married, which I'm very pleased that he did.
Yeah.
And the reason is they had one child. Her name was Judith. And Judith is my mom. Oh. And he is my grandfather.
I'll be done.
And I remember a couple things specifically when we were young, very young, is one, he had all these. Do you remember these? You go down a slope, you put them down a slope.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all,
Yeah.
that usually happened too with them.
Yeah.
But he had a whole bunch of these, and when I
wow.
was a real little kid, that's what we used to do, take these and go down. Another thing that I clearly remember about him is telling me that when you're older, you and I are going to get on the Alaskan, what is it called? The road that goes from the central U.S., it goes into through Canada, the Yukon, and into Alaska, the Trans-Alaskan Highway.
Yeah.
You and I are going to take the Trans-Alaskan Highway, and we're going to take a vacation together. And I remember we would talk about it, but when I was 14 years old, he died.
Aww.
So he never was able to tell me about what it was like to be in World War I, or be a New York cop, or why he made the decisions he did.
And you didn't know enough to ask.
No, at 14, you got more important things to do at that time.
Yeah.
So a couple side things. I have a fondness for Alaska. It was really fun. As I grew up, I had a fondness for Alaska. I've been there 5 times now, and each time, this has accompanied me.
Oh, really? Like taking your grandfather with you.
Yes, and he was actually right on the dashboard the whole time.
Oh.
So that got me started in thinking that I wanted to do it for my grandfather, but then I looked at some of the books that I've done. And some of the books were along the same lines. They were biographical. I'm sure that's not the way to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But they were biographies, or they were memoirs. And I brought some with me here today. There's two of them that you may be aware of.
I think so.
If I have a minute, I'd like to go over with you. And I said, there's a lot of people that probably are in the same situation. They have either for themselves or for people that they care for, who may or may not be with them now. They have all this information and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
When a person dies, they leave photos and books and videos and documents and maybe things that they've made. And all that's great.
Yeah.
But how about having something that explains in a book form who they are, what they are, incorporates all that things that's in all these different places and puts it together?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on with different people, and that's what I'm planning to do for my grandfather.
Oh, that's cool. Because I'm sure you can gather enough information about him from your mother. And
Well, that's another thing. Mom is now 91. She's in great condition, mind is sharp, but she is 91. And if I don't carefully go over all these stories, they're gone forever.
yes.
There's
they are.
nobody left
Yeah.
who's in the family who's really over 60, so there's nobody who remembers him that well.
Yeah.
But if we start, you have all this information. You have probably books of photos and things that are hanging around of people.
Yes.
You have photos that are probably on the wall, like this here. This is just when he got back, when he was going into the being a policeman.
Wow.
Lots of loose photos.
Yeah.
And documents. Oh, we have documents. We have birth certificates.
Yes.
We have licenses when he got his license at 18 years old. I have reprimands from the police department.
Wow.
For some things that they felt he should have done a little better. And I got to show you this, Tom. This here is a box. And I would like you to read the postmark on this letter.
I can see it's all 1918.
1918.
August 27 at 8:30 p.m.
These here is a group of letters that when he was overseas serving in World War I, that he wrote back to his family. And I don't want to go into his early years, but his parents died when he was young. His older sister took him in. So he has a very interesting life that I really wish that I had sat down and gone over with him. And I am now going to try and tell his story.
You realize this is a full-time job. You're going to get lost in that thing.
Well,
And that's what happens. Lisa Saunders has love letters from her grandfather to her grandmother and vice versa during the Civil War.
wow.
And she wrote a book about it. And matter of fact, I had her on a show a couple of years ago, and we actually worked apart. I read for him, and she read for her grandmother. Very interesting. So yeah, you're right. Everybody's got a story, but everybody's got to put it down and get some information. People say, "Oh, I can't write." I don't care. Just write it down.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I had the same thing with when I was visiting with my dad and my mother. My grandmother was still alive. Her husband and my father's father were gone, and I was trying to find out some information. Where did they come from? Who were the grandparents? And my grandmother go, I don't know. And she's like 85. She's been in the United States since she was 13. So she doesn't know where she came from or who her parents were. My father said he thought his grandmother was such and such a last name and threw out a couple of names. I don't know if they're right or not. And there's nowhere to check. You're done. I'm the only one left.
Yeah, that's why I think it's important to get down. I know that there's a movement to try and get World War II veterans because now they're in their 80s.
Yeah.
And if we don't get those stories, they're going to be lost forever.
Yep.
But you did a little bit. If I can, let me show you some of the work that Tom has done. First, do you know the difference between memoirs and biographies?
Memoirs and
Biographies. I don't mean to put you on the spot, because
Go
these are
ahead, yeah.
two terms that are often used interchangeably.
Yeah.
But they're really not. There's a little bit of a difference. One difference is that the biography is a person's life. They were born here, they did this, they died here. A memoir is a part of that life. It can be a certain situation that happened, or it could be a time frame. An example that is out today is Hillary Clinton's book. That is not a biography. That is a memoir of her time during the campaign trail.
Gotcha.
So what you have done, the two books that you have done, they are memoirs.
Memoirs.
Because the book,
Slice of my life.
yes. Yeah, this here, My Son Todd, is about your son.
Right.
What happened to him, the effect it happened to during a specific time.
Yeah.
And your other book is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's about Mystic in the 50s. I know the light is a little bit sharp on it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. And it's about what it was like to grow up in the
Basically
50s.
10 years of my life.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So-
that's interesting.
And the way you did it here is this appeals to a wide variety of people, because you put people back what it was like for you, what the stores were,
Yeah.
what the culture was at that time.
And that's another point. Right? When I was writing that book, I kept thinking of things that happened. I'd say, no, you can't put that in, you can't put that. Because I chose only the things that I thought other people would be interested in. Nobody cares that I had to walk back and forth to school. Although I think I did mention it. But you know what I'm saying is, that's boring unless you've got a story to tell about it. And I think that's one of the things that people get hung up on. What do I talk about? And you think, my life is not exciting. I haven't done anything.
But I think if most people look back at their lives, they have done a lot. If they look back and say, when they were young, what it was like,
Yeah.
and then as they had education, got jobs, got married, moved different places, there's a lot there.
Oh, there's so much. And I say that a lot of times. Here I am, 75 years old. What have I done? I was a disc jockey. I've owned 2 or 3 different businesses. I've, chairman of this and president of that, and
The Lions
Lions
Club?
and VFW, and so yeah, I've done a lot. But I guess I sometimes think in terms of money. I'm not making any, but I have accomplished a lot, and I feel good about that.
And you've had such a positive effect on so many people.
Wow.
First, Tom is the chairman of the Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association here in the Groton, the southeast part of the state, and helped an awful lot of authors. And you tell me about the effect that your book has had. You do seminars, and the effect that it has on people who have lost loved ones.
Yeah.
His son, Todd, died when he was 18? 21. In a car accident, very tragic, and a lot of people go through that type of stuff, and you are able to help them through it.
And I've actually had 2 people say I've saved their lives,
Wow.
and I'm thinking, wow, that's
Can you put
powerful.
money on that?
Wow, no, that's regardless of how much money you make or don't make, you can't. There's nothing as big as that.
You brought up how big of a project this is.
Yeah.
And it can be daunting. I'm sure that you can't see these images here, but when we started working on my grandfather's memoirs, we had 2 tables, each one was double the size of this.
Wow.
And we had everything spread out, because this is just a little bit of what was it, all spread out. And what do?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 separate versions. The first version is going to be lots of pictures, lots of documents, not a lot of narration. So it's going to tell his life through the images that we have, the memories that Mom had, that the few that we have. That's how we are going to tell his story. At a later date, And that book we're going to publish.
Yeah.
At a later date, then we're going to go into detail. For instance, we are going to tell as much as we know about his time at World War I. But on the new book, we're going to tell what it was like in World War I. The area he was at, where was the Allies, where was the Axis, what was going on as far as the fighting at that time,
Yeah.
what was it like for the transport ships that brought him back, etc. So our second round is going to be far more detailed. But the first one is we want to get a story out. You know, we don't want this to be a major project that you look at and you start to shake and you say, wow.
You can write to the government and get his complete military history.
They'll send it?
Yeah.
I'm glad I came on today.
If I remember, I'll get the address for you. Because a friend of mine, you read the book, the guy that picked his uncle or something that, Norm had written a book about a guy in the Civil War.
Yes, this would be ideal.
And the information he got was from out of the government. He just sent it down there, and they sent him back all the information about the guy and what he did.
Oh, I definitely have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, let me bring up a couple other points, if I may.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Another thing that's part of this is video. You may have, we all know that the DVDs, although they're something that's recent.
Yeah.
And then before the DVDs, you had the VHS. Yeah, but if you think they're old, look at, we have 8 millimeters.
Oh, yeah.
We have the real ones,
Yeah.
such as this. And then we also have the small reels, such as this. So one of the things that we are able to do at Husky Trail is to be able to take these and convert them to digital. So what happens is when we're done, we have a book and we have video. But today is a digital age. You know, you want to have a story to tell your grandkids. You know, they've got their phones out, they have their iPads, computers.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We can convert it to an ebook, and the ebook can play video.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you can have a book that you want a printed book that's on the shelf that everybody can refer to, and two, a digital version that not only has the whole story with all the pictures in color, if they're in color, but it can also incorporate the video.
Wow. That's cool.
So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
But there are different ways. I want to show you a couple books. This here gentleman, he was a state policeman for Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
And he was involved in several very bad instances. And he ended up with, forgetting it, the soldiers get it when they come back.
PTSD.
Yes, he ended up with the case of that. And here he tells about the trauma that he went through in dealing with it. This here, we both know Teresa.
Yeah.
Teresa's mom had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And Teresa told a story about her mom, and she also showed how she coped with it that other people were able to use as well.
And she started with a diary. She'd go visit her mother, and she'd go home, and she'd write this stuff down, and she said, I got all this stuff, I don't know what to do. I said, write a book. And she said, well, I don't know about that. I said, talk to Richard. And there's the book.
Yes, really enjoyed working with her, too.
Yeah.
Now, here's a couple that are a little bit different. Both of these are poetries and prose.
Wow.
These two here. Again, we're having a little issue with the lights on them. But this gentleman, when I met him, I was talking to his daughter. His daughter gave me everything that I needed to put the book together, but he was in a nursing home. He was very sick, but his mind was sharp, and he wanted to put together his group of poems from when he was in the Korean War until the last one he had written months before then. So I was able to meet with him. I put the book together, and they had a party at the nursery, at the home that he was in. And from what I understand, I was unable to attend, but from what I understand, it was just a great time. And that, I was told afterwards, that was the one thing that he wanted to have done before he passed. And several months later, he did die. But I was thrilled to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And the second one, this here, this book right here, this also is prose. And this was by a person, very much alive, very vibrant person, who wanted to do it to her children. Now, neither one of these books are for sale. This is not something that they want. All these other books here are for sale, but these two here, just for the families.
There's nothing wrong with that.
So I was very pleased to be able to do this, because now there is something that they will always have, always be able to work with.
That's cool. And that brings us to this book.
Yes!
This is a book called Cody Christopher Santos. This is not for sale. It's a memory book, and you can't see it. There you go. I'll almost make it out there. What this book does is I took every photograph that I have of my grandson, and I put it in the book. And I put notations under it. And it tells all about how he grew up, and we, it's stuff, pictures that when he come visit me, I'd take pictures of him, because his father, of course, had passed away. And I have on the front page all the maternal and paternal family members, so he knows who everybody is. I got a picture of him naked here too. And
his girlfriend will really appreciate that.
But this is the first 16 years of pictures of him growing up. I even have my ex-girlfriend in there, and I got my mother and father up here with me as a baby, 9 years old, I think, and his a picture of his of my grandparents in the back, or his great-grandparents. But I thought, I've got so many pictures in a box, and if I die, he's going to take that box and say, I don't know what to do with it. Well, now all those pictures are identified in the book. And he's got a copy of this, and all he's got to do is look at the book if he wants to look at the pictures. They start digging out of just the old box, and gee, I don't remember when that was taken or anything else.
And that's something he will always have. As you said, if there are pictures around, a lot of stuff could happen, but the book he always has.
Absolutely.
And it shows you can take it from different pieces.
Yeah.
This here, you put the photos of him when he was from one age to another.
Yeah.
So you can do it all different ways. Whatever is the best, whatever works for you, whatever you're thinking about, want to portray.
Yeah. And you can get so elaborate in all this stuff, or you can just keep it simple. It's a picture of my Uncle Peter, and that's it. But you can tell a story.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's the best part, is to tell the story of memoirs. That was an interesting book.
Yes, this here is Nancy is a member of CAPA, Connecticut Authors and Publishers Association.
Yeah.
And when she was in her 50s, she met somebody who was also in their 50s, and they had a worldwide romance. And it was really, really nice. And then within 2 years, I believe, of them getting married, he contracted cancer.
Yeah.
So what we did here is, I had never met him because I met Nancy after he passed away.
Right.
But she had his manuscript.
Yeah.
So what we did is we took his manuscript and Nancy finished the story. But he had, it was his story from when he was born. So this here is more of a biography.
Yeah.
Because it was when he was born, and it told about him coming up.
Yeah.
And then there was a big part about his fight with cancer.
Yeah.
And there are some very interesting things in there.
Oh, it is. It's a tremendously written book. And the step before that was, I talked to her ex-husband, and he said, Nancy has a book by her now deceased husband that she'd like to get published. Can you help her? I said, I know who can.
Well, thank
Turn her
you.
over to you.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
And but that was, she has no idea, but she sold a lot of books.
Yes.
And the book is so well written, and it's just, you read the book, and the man was healthy. I mean, he was ran around all over, did running and exercises, and ate the right foods.
One of the stories
any
that
difference.
I like is after he contracted it, he had to go through the full range of chemo.
Yeah.
So he is in the waiting room. I guess there were quite a few people there that day. And all of a sudden, a nurse heard a big commotion from the room. So she comes running out. He started to chant with all the patients, "Cancer sucks." Some other things. You find out interesting things that you never knew.
No, you don't.
And-
You've got about 2 more minutes, so go ahead.
I'll take 30 seconds. All of a sudden, I'm finding a whole bunch of books like this here, true romance. And remember, we're talking the 1920s now.
Yeah.
I'm saying, what's going on here? Why are all these? And it turns out that my grandfather was a model.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh,
So they stage things, and it's hard to see here,
yeah.
but he's on this page, he's on this page,
Wow.
and he modeled for scenes. Some of them were police scenes, some of them weren't.
I'll be damned.
And again, this was pretty risque back in the 20s.
That's cool. We have 2 minutes left, so I have to do some cleanup mess here, and some notes and things to come. And last time we took a moment to pray for the Hurricane Harvey, and unfortunately, a whole bunch of stuff has been coming through. Now we got 4 hurricanes, an earthquake, and so much destruction and so many people killed. I'd just like to take 10 seconds and God bless and watch over them. We don't have any more hurricanes coming, do we?
Yes, next week.
We got Maria,
Maria, yes.
and we hope that she's going to follow Jose out to sea.
Yes, don't come close.
It's so sad to watch on TV. These places just leveled, and school fell down on top of all the kids. It's just...
In Mexico, yeah.
On September 28th, which is next Thursday, I will have a very special 1-hour show featuring Kenneth Richards Jr., Dr. Frank Mallitz, and Jim Spellman. And they are going to graphically demonstrate the reality of the heroin epidemic from addiction to recovery right here on this TV show. It's a must-see, and it's not going to be seen anywhere else. They've been taking this show on the road for a couple different cities, and he wanted to make sure he got it on this show.
Very important
So
topic.
please watch, and we got to be able to save some people, my Lord. Now the police don't want to handle the Narcan because that's extra. Anyway, I want to thank you to the SEC group here and helping put on this show. And they live on donations, so if you got a few extra bucks, send them down because we can use all the help we can get. Thank you for watching. Email me at santostom@comcast.net. You should be reading, and cold weather is coming, so it'll be a nice cuddle night. Cuddle up with a good book on these cold nights that are coming up, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tom.